Right, let's have a crack at this. Now then, I'll give you some rough sizes to start off with, but let's create a new component. let's not create a new component then. Aha! So, cable tidy. Next thing, I'm going to create the one I showed you, because that's not too complicated, but pretty good. So, I'm going to create a sketch on that face, and just going to untick that 3D rubbish, and then just turn that, sorry. Alright, so best thing to do is to create a curve, an arc, a 3-point arc. Now then, the actual size of it, the length of that unit shouldn't really be any more than 100. So 50 there, and 50 there. And the height shouldn't be any taller than, I think I made that, shouldn't be any taller than 25. So mine's about 20. I think that'll be all right. And then, excuse me, alpha line. And then finish your sketch. And then press home. And then E for extrude. And I want to extrude that. Let's have a look. 20. Ah, 20, is that plenty? Super. So there you go, easy bit done. Next thing to do is to think about what the size, diameter of what cables you use. Most around 3, but there are some chunkier ones that are around 5. So it's kind of up to you whether you want to do one for just 3 or one for 5. But the mouse cables, the Mac Airbook charges about 3. Your average phone cable is also 3. So let's try and do that. Sketch a new one on the front. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a rectangle with a center point. So I'm going to create it above here, and I'm going to drag it, and that top, if I tab, that 4 and tab in between needs to be 3. So I'll tab 3. And then the depth of this bottom piece here that I'm dragging down, I'm going to look into proportion, but I'm going to just leave it at that. Okay. And the next bit is to think about an ellipse. So create an ellipse. And you might have to mess about with where you want this, but I'm going to drag around there, say about 16 wide, 15, there's 16, try 16, and then you can drag. Now then, I'm going to, let's try a bit bigger. No, alright, I'm going to leave my ellipse there, like that. Now, if you press escape, you can then click on that dot, and you can move that up just so it just goes into the shapes, and then press T, and then you can trim off that one. Now if you zoom in, you can then escape, and then you can trim off these blue lines here. Just ignore this warning. Just ignore that. Okay? And then finish your sketch. So what that does, if you just zoom out, is it leaves you with a sketch like that. Okay? And then what you can do is you can E for extrude that and that, and then just cut it all the way through. Okay? So you're left with that type of shape. Now, I want a couple of these, and I'm going to not fillet that just yet. In fact, I'm going to go underneath first. And I'm going to fillet, F for fillet, that edge and that edge. There's a more comfortable, in fact, a better looking, just like that, and press OK. And then I can press F for fillet again and fillet this long edge and this one too. Now it's going to put a random figure of 1 and see what happens. Yep, 1.5 is probably too big. And then just press OK. So the next bit is to try and get a couple more of these either side. Well, as you well know, those of you who've used this quite a lot, you can use the cheat function. It's the correct function. It's not the. So go to the pattern on a path. Now then, see where it says pattern type. Yours might be defaulted for faces. Click on features and then bring your mouse down to there. Filleting is a feature. Filleting is a feature, and so is extrusion. So it's automatically selecting those, and the path is this path here. So it's this curve, right? So it wants to pull that symmetrically. Now then, why is it doing that? Let's just have a look. So it wants to pull it all the way around that path, which is weird. See that? So we've got a little problem here, that it wants to select all this path. So you could be a little bit cheeky here and you could say, oh, I'll create a temporary path. So create a sketch on there, and then what you can do is you can create yourself another arc. I'm glad it did that, because then I can show you how to get out stuff. So create an arc, 3-point arc. Now make it close to that end. So there and there. So create another arc like that, just underneath. Over that. Put that there. Yeah, that'll do. And then finish your sketch. So turn that around. And then what you can do is you can try the same. So create a pattern on a path. Those 3 features, 1, 2, 3. Now then, the path is this one. Okay, and what will happen here is it's interesting. So I'm getting 3 going along that path. So if I do it identical path direction, and then I bring down the number, and then I do it symmetrically. So will that work? Let's have a look. So if I bring that, no, so that's 2. So it looks like, for some reason, if I do 1, what will that do? No. Interesting. Good. So I'll cancel that. And what I think I can do to cheat this a little bit, go back into that sketch and alpha line, because it's selecting that whole path. If I create a line there to split that path and then finish off the sketch, let's now see what happens. Create pattern along path. 1, 2, 3. Now select the path direction. So is it splitting that one now or not? It's still splitting that one. So if I nip back into that sketch and T for trim, So if I now trim that off, and that off, and that off, just to leave myself with one arc point there. So let's see if that works. Fun and games, eh? So now go to create pattern on the path. Oops. 1, 2, 3. Path direction. That single path. Yee. So now if I drag that feature, and I only want one, and I want symmetric, then Y. So I want a path direction. And then let's have a look at that front view. So if I got that one there, and then why isn't it doing it on the other one? So if I say 3, and then I move that, yay! See, that's a good thing about having a bit of knowledge on Fusion. You can always work out how to adjust, and that was a good problem solver for me, like so. And then you can just turn off your sketch here. Have a look. Goodbye sketch. Now the last bit was put your name on it or your initial, so that when you print it off, if it looks similar to this, then I can sort of pick it off. Okay. The way to do that is to construct a tangent plane from there and press OK. And I'm going to then do an offset plane from the same one, and I think I'll make it a millimeter higher, so 1 millimeter higher. Press OK, and then you can create a sketch on that plane. And you can I turn that around because that looks weird? Can I turn that around? Can I look at that edge? And then can I look at the top? Yeah, that's better. This is where I'm going to write a name. So I'm going to create some text just here. And I'm just going to put SB, Stuart Boyd. And I like it bigger than that, so I'm going to make it 14. And then use this point here to centralize it. There you go. Lovely. You can change the type of text, I think, the style, but it's up to you. So leave it as that, SB. Now finish the sketch, and sketches are off, so I'll switch them on. Watch the actual sketch then, if I zoom in, is you can switch off your construction just to see what's there. So now go to E for extrude that, so just click on the blue, and instead of going up, which would be a positive value, go down -1, so -1, in fact 1.5, and it'll go into cut mode. Leave it on join, and then it'll join like so. Okay, so there you go. There you got your, I could show you how to curve that text, but I'm not going to today. So then what you'll need to do is you'll need to send me that. So the best way of sending that is to, first of all, save. So when you put it in here, put in Capable Tidy. I'll do them all in white, and then if you want to spray them, that's fine. And then put in your initial, put your name, Stu, and then save it. And that'll appear here. And then what you want to do is right click, and then go to save as STL, stereolithographic file, and then press OK. Go to your downloads, save, and then just send me that attach that as a normal email, and that's it. And I'll print that off, and then when you come in the next couple of weeks, I can throw them down to you from the balcony in a little envelope, and then you can take those home. Okay, any problems, then just come back to me. Hope you enjoyed that.